Good evening, everyone. Notice hereby given the City Council of City of Alpine, Texas will hold a regular meeting at 5:30 p.m. on March 15th, 2022 in City Council Chambers at 803 West Holland Avenue in the city of Alpine, Texas, for the purpose of considering the attached agenda. This notice is posted pursuant to Texas Open Meeting Act Government Code Section 551.043. Public notice: the use of cellular phones and electronic equipment is prohibited in the city council chambers during meetings of the city council, except for purpose explicitly authorized by state law, Texas Government Code, Section 551.023. This meeting will be conducted in accordance with official rules of decorum for city council meeting available at www.cityofalpine.com/decorum. Public comments are limited. Public comments are limited and public hearing section of the agenda. Individuals who wish to address the city council may do so by completing the public comment card and by placing a completed card on the city secretary desk no later than 5 minutes before the commencement of the meeting. The public comment card may also be completed online at www.cityofalpine.com/council comments. A public comment card is not required for speakers who wish to comment on public hearing items. When speakers are acknowledged, please approach the microphone at the podium and state your name and the ward for the record. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, and a bell will signal the end of each speaker's time. Please conclude speaker's comment promptly when the bell rings. State law generally prohibits the council from discussing or taking any action on any issue not included on the agenda. But if appropriate, the council may schedule the topic for future discussion or refer the matter to staff. No personal attacks on council members or city staff will be allowed. The mayor and or city council members may call a point to order to stop personal attacks. If an individual continues to personally attack an elected official or staff member in a meeting, they may be barred. Let's be to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one indivisible. Thank you all very much. City Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mayor, all council members are present, excluding Councilor Tandy. The notice of this meeting was posted at 2 p.m. on March 11th.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, do we have anybody signed up for public comments?
We have Lourdes Valenzuela.
Okay, Ms. Valenzuela.
3-minute time frame.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor Ramos, City Council members, and Alpine residents. I am here to voice my opinion on the game room. We have been isolated for the last 2 years due to the pandemic. Choices of entertainment and Alpine are very limited. The different machines that are available stimulate the brain in good ways. While playing the games, I am able to relax and enjoy myself. Having a variety of machines allows for social distancing and more entertainment. I see local business people and tourists in the game room. Tourists ask about places to eat and places to stay, which will bring more tax income. I feel it is a very safe environment. The doors are always open, very clean and well lit. People come and play and leave. People do not hang around if they are not playing. I do not see any drinking or drugs. Please allow for more machines. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anybody else?
No, sir.
That's it? Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to, we don't have any presentations or recognitions. And we'll move to reports, city mayor report. Just want to remind the public, we've got elections coming up in May for mayor. That's going to be the only contested race. So be sure to contact your candidates, ask questions, get well versed on who they are. And that's May 7th. Thank you. City Attorney report.
Mayor and council, we had a good municipal court this morning. We'll have another one on Thursday. That continues to go well. I think at the next meeting, we'll come to you all to try to clear out some old cases dating back to 2014 to try to clear up some of the old docket. We received a notice in the last few days from Park Hill, Smith and Cooper. You might remember that they had billed the city for $130,000 for work they didn't do. And so they gave us notice they want to go to a pre-suit mediation, which is fine. We'll have a mediation with them and try to explain to them why they're not entitled to what they're claiming. Whenever that's done, we'll report back to the council on that matter. And then I've discussed the EMS or 911 contract matter with Megan and the county. And so after the choice is made tonight by the city and the county, I'm going to work up a draft of that agreement for the city and county, and then the county attorney, outside lawyer, will review it, and then we'll bring it back to the council for you all to approve a final agreement.
Okay. Any questions? Thank you, sir. Okay, let's go to city manager report.
Good evening, council and mayor. Going to try and keep it short. One of the updates is up there. The first one I'm going to have is with our police department. If I can have Daryl and Alexis come up to the podium. Alexis put together an awesome presentation as a continuation of getting some representation from all of the departments. Dispatch gets overlooked a lot. They are the quiet figures in the background answering those calls. So she put together a presentation, and if Alexis will give me a second, I know Daryl wanted to speak first. I'll get her presentation ready.
So one of the things that I tell Alexis all the time, and I tell our staff when we hire them, is that they are the first impressions of the Alpine Police Department. They receive the calls. Also, people come to the office and make reports, and usually that they are the first impressions of how Alpine Police Department works. And since 2018, we have been blessed. I tell you, blessed that we have had the staff that we've had. I think we've maybe turned over 2 employees within that time. Alexis came on October.
Yes.
October 2018, and from there, she started out as dispatcher, worked her way up to supervisor, and along with her staff, they probably came on about 6 months later, and they have just totally impressed me. The way their professionalism with the public, and I'll leave it to Alexis. She made an awesome PowerPoint for y'all to take a look at. So thank you to Alexis and our staff.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Alexis Heyman, and I am the communication supervisor for Alpine Police Department. And I put a little presentation together for you guys, give you a little bit more of an understanding of dispatch and what we've been doing for the past couple of years. So first is our mission statement. So I'll read that off for y'all. It says, the Alpine Police Department and the public expect all personnel to maintain high standards of appearance and conduct. The mission of the department is to work with all members of the community to preserve life, maintain human rights, protect property, and promote individual responsibility and community commitment. And then next, this is just an overview of 2021 and everything that we've taken care of as a department in dispatch. So this also goes over calls that we've dispatched for EMS and fire department. So to begin, our total calls for service for 2021 totaled to 10,343. We averaged about 862 calls for service per month, and that is an increase of 6.32% from 2020. Our total 911 calls were 2,993. We had 1,200 total EMS involved calls and 66 fire. This shows our training that we've had with our dispatch, and like Chief said, we've had a pretty good retention of employees since 2018. So this shows our years of service, training hours, and it also goes over a bit of our licensing. So in total, between all 6 of us, we have 15 years and 7 months total years of service. And altogether, we have 1,454 training hours. So in that next column right there, that's going to be our licensing. So it shows all of us whenever we got our permanent state licensure through Texas. And then those next 2 columns show the proficiency certificates that we can achieve throughout our years of service and also in total with our training hours. And this kind of goes over a little bit more in depth of what we need to do as far as training within our first year, and then our continuing education on how we can achieve those proficiencies. So this is similar to law enforcement officers, but for telecommunicators through the state of Texas, within our first 6 months of employment, we have to achieve the TCIC, NCIC full access certification, as well as the TD and TTY for telecommunicators. Now, full access, that's what we use in order to run information for our officers. So that includes like licenses and license plates. And for the TTY, that is more training that's specialized for deaf and hard of hearing individuals. So that gives our dispatchers a more in-depth look on how to speak with these individuals and get the information in a more efficient way. And within 12 months, we have to have our personnel orientation, our field training, the basic telecommunicator certificate course, as well as crisis communication. And these next right here for intermediate, advanced, and masters, those are the proficiency certificates that we can get as we gain years of service and training hours. Next, these are a couple of the services that we provide as far as a police department and through 365. That's going to be for non-emergency calls usually. These types of calls can be for animal control, after hours requests for city departments such as like the water and gas, and other just incidents that may not need an immediate response. We also answered the line for our Rooster County Crime Stoppers. And this line, it was a program designed to encourage citizen involvement in solving crime in our community. This line is completely anonymous. So if we have any anonymous tips, if we're having any kind of involved investigation, people are more than welcome to call this line to give any kind of anonymous information. Next is Close Patrol. This program was designed to let Alpine citizens who are leaving on vacation or maybe just out of town for a certain period of time to call us. And that allows them to let us know how long they're going to be gone and any specific information, like if they're going to be leaving a certain vehicle in their driveway, and our officers will patrol that area and keep an eye on their house as long as they're going to be gone, just in case for, security reasons for the community. And next is our 911 emergency line. So the police department has 2 positions for 911 that we can answer these emergency calls for. We dispatch for the police department within the city limits, as well as the fire department and EMS within North Rooster County. And that includes like Marathon area, things like that. Next is our 911 awareness program. Now, this is what we normally do for our National Night Out or for any community involved events such as like our fall festivals and things like that, where we get more involved with mainly the children, just getting them information as far as like paperwork that they can fill out with their parents that'll give them their phone number, their parents' names, address, any specific maybe medical information, depending. Hopefully they don't ever have to, but if they do have to call 911, they can have that like in a specific spot in their house. So they can read that off to us in those instances. And then next, we do have a lost and found at the police department. And like I said, we're open 24/7, 365 days a year. So people can come in if they find any property that may have been lost, like in our parks and things like that, or they can also call us if they do lose property within the city limits. And we can make note of that. And if it is turned in, we have their contact information to let them know like, hey, you can come up at any time to come claim your property. And this next slide is just a map of Rooster County. And I also drew out our jurisdictional boundaries. because like I said, we dispatch for the police department within the city limits, but we also do the fire department and the EMS for Alpine. So the fire department is in that upper left-hand corner, and then the EMS is this upper right-hand corner. And that goes down all the way to the border of the Big Bend National Park. And then like this bottom right-hand, or left-hand, apologize, is for Terlingua Fire and EMS. And then the bottom right-hand is for the Big Bend National Park for their fire and EMS. So it gives you an idea of just how large of an area that us and the county serve. Okay. And this is our call volume model from 2019 to 2021, broken down for the police department's total calls, EMS, and fire. So that shows for 2019, we had a total of 11,875 calls, which broken down average per month was about 990. To 2020, which was 9,728 with an average of 811. To 2021, which was the 10,343 with an average of 862. And then I broke down for the percentage increase and decreases. So from 19 to 20, we had a bit of a decrease of 18%, which mainly was due to the COVID-19 pandemic. A lot of our city events and things had to be canceled and closed. And then from 2020 to 2021, we had another increase of 6.32. And then you can see same thing for our EMS and fire. So EMS had a total of 798 in 2019, which jumped up to 1,046 in 2020. And then in 2021, they had 1,200. So for fire in 2019, they had a total of 60. 2020 was 64 and 2021 is 66. So for both EMS and fire, they had increases between their years, which EMS definitely due to the pandemic. And we had a lot of flights from like our hospital with Eagle Med and the other flight companies. Okay. And this slide shows the new systems that we've been introducing since 2019. So for the police department, we introduced the Collogic CAD system to our department. So CAD stands for computer aided dispatch. So that's a program that we use, a software that allows us to record all that information that I pulled with the calls for service and everything. So that's, you know, if anybody calls in, every call is recorded if it requires any kind of response. So this CAD system allows us to dispatch units, and it gives a better communication between us and our units. So whenever we make a call, they can also see that within their units, like on their computers. And that helps give better information for them. So whenever they respond, they have a bit of a better idea of what's going on. Next is Carbine. So on February 14th, 2022, the police department became the first cloud native 911 contact center in the country. All PSAPs in the Rio Grande COG are now equipped with this next gen 911 technology. So PSAPs basically means just 911 call centers. So that includes us, the Rooster County, and Presidio County, Hudspeth, and Culberson. So all of us now have this brand new 911 system, which honestly is going to make it so much better for us to be able to respond to the people in the community. It's going to allow us to have better location. And if anybody has any questions about that, I would recommend going to the Carbine website. They also made a video, which we have posted to our Facebook, which gives a little bit more of an in-depth description of that system. Next is, this is something that we're currently working on. We don't have this implemented just yet, but me and Chief have been trying to get with other companies to get this training for our dispatchers. So that's going to be an EMD program, which stands for Emergency Medical Dispatch. And this training will allow us to give life-saving instructions to callers until further help can arrive. So that can include if somebody calls and they need CPR instructions or any kind of first aid instructions. This training will allow us to be certified to give people that information over the phone until our ambulances or officers can arrive to further help. But that pretty much sums everything up.
If I can add one more thing, in 2019, the state made telecommunicators a first responder. And so they are now required to go through basic levels as police officers. They'll have their basic, intermediate, advanced, and master. And that was one of the things that we do in our department, that we just try to develop all our employees to the next step, increasing the training, making sure that they're up to date with everything that we can provide for them.
Yeah, right now, all of our dispatchers, other than our brand new hire, are at the intermediate level, which is 2 years and a certain amount of training hours, I think. Yeah. About 200.
They're all also certified CPR and first aid,
Right.
an additional certification that a lot of them took on. The city has invested in this small group of individuals, and I wanted them to have their moment to come out from the dark office.
Right.
If you ever go to dispatch, it's like the bad cave. And they're like closing their eyes if somebody turns the light on, so it's funny.
So I just wanted them to have their moment, and Alexis, she did put together a great presentation, and she does represent that great department.
Thank you. Yeah, and on that last slide, it did have my contact information. So it has my city work email and the non-emergency number to the police department. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to email me, and that is our non-emergency number. So if you ever do need to call it, feel free.
And it will be posted online with all of our other presentations.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, so long overdue, we are having a city auction. Everything had been prior approved since 2019. We attempted in 19, we sold 2 vehicles. 20 was a no-go. 21, we tried to get everything together, but it was a kind of a trying to find last minute title and making sure everything was prepared. With having some additional help, we've set a date for Saturday, April 9th. If you've ever wanted to drive an old police car or a tractor that is from the 70s, come on down. There are items on our list.
It's great yard art.
Our code enforcement will love ticketing you for junk vehicles. We are taking a different initiative for the advertising. Prior, we kind of kept it a little local. We do encourage our local constituents to come and bid on the vehicles. But we're going to reach out a little further to the Presidio and Del Rio areas. I really wanted to go El Paso Midland, but when the price tag came back, I said no. Their advertising would run us over $3,700 for just one article in the paper, so we backed out of that. But we have a little over 20 vehicles. We've got impounded vehicles, we've got prior city owned vehicles. They are as is. As we get closer to the date, we're going to start putting pictures online, little teasers, and of course we'll have the full information in the list in the paper for those who are interested in the public. If you are a car person and you need parts, guarantee we got something out there for you for parts. So we're excited to finally get this underway. That's Saturday, April 9th at 9 a.m. I didn't put a title to this one, and forgive me for that. I wanted to give you guys an update on the grants. I try to space things out so everyone has an opportunity to provide some information. And so I reached out to Marcy. I've gotten some feedback. Well, where are we at with this? And where are we at with that? And council has almost every council meeting approved a grant. So I kind of wanted to get an update. The first 2 are really ongoing grants. We do these every year. We get them approved by council every year. This is our HIDA, which is our high intensity drug trafficking award. This one benefits 2 officers and what we call a budget analysis. It is 0 cost to the city. These are city employees who do follow city protocols. But they get to work in a whole different world when it comes to law enforcement. The next one is our TxDOT Aviation Ramp Grant, which is basically our routine airport maintenance program. This is also an ongoing, this is a 50-50. So if we spend $20,000, we get reimbursed $10,000. This one gets approved every year. It does come before council. And this one is airport maintenance. They have tightened the controls a little bit throughout the years. You can't buy something with wheels, so you can't buy a tractor, you can't buy a lawnmower. They don't replace everything pertaining to the fuel side of things anymore. A lot of the filters that we need for our fuel, it's a kind of a back and forth. We do provide every little item that we can think of to get reimbursed. The city was very fortunate in 17. We used it to replace the roof on the terminal. So that was a great, 50% off deal for us, and we took advantage of it. The next one, or the next three have been awarded. These were approved by council at the end of the fiscal year. Is our JAG grant, which is the patrol bikes, training and equipment. You've probably seen one or two officers out there on a bicycle, great exercise. I know Daryl's been utilizing it. This was a great benefit for especially the art walk, where you don't really want a patrol call constantly going around. You've got that bicycle for a little bit more personal interaction with the public. The next one is our Homeland Security. This one was a great success for us because it actually helped us get an additional repeater. Ms. Stokes will understand the cost of things. Technology for law enforcement has probably tripled in cost since I started doing grants back in 2007. So having these additional funds has not only helped the law enforcement update, but it's helped the city with zero cost to us. So we're narrowing down and being very specific with these types of grants to ensure that, one, we get something that we really can utilize and it helps us upgrade. Car mounted radios, handheld. The same pattern with law enforcement and their technology. It has to be constantly updated. And Carbine came out with this great product. That is an expense, that an update that we've been very lucky we did not have to pay for. The Lone Star program, this was one of the last minute ones that they had put out as far as some additional funding that was available through the state. This we went after for additional mobile data terminals. This is for the in-car, and Gerald can correct me if I'm wrong, units that allow them the constant access to data. And then of course some overtime. We try to encourage all of our officers to work responsibly, but we also know that when you get called out, you don't know when you're going to get called off or when your shift's going to end. So this helps us, especially with some of the calls and some of the extra that we have some overtime to cover that. The next one is one that we've been patiently waiting, as well as the next one on the list, the airport lighting project. The city went after multiple grants at one time for the airport. We went after the design phase, the construction phase for a new lighting system. We are the oldest one in Texas with this lighting system. The light bulbs are next to impossible to find. Abel will be out there with a flashlight moving forward. He thinks I'm joking. The construction phase has been kind of at a standstill. The government was great. The federal government was great with, here's this bill, here's this money. We're going to give it to everyone. Well, these are all in line with waiting for the federal to drop back down and say, oh, okay, yeah, we didn't forget about you. Let's move forward. So we're still waiting for the final process, the final step. We have not cut the city's portion for this part of the project. So the construction phase hasn't actually started. We're hoping, well, it should have started in October. That was the last email I received with, get prepared to cut that check. Then it was, we're moving it into the spring. Still haven't heard anything back from Tex.Aviation, and they're in the same boat we are. We're just waiting for that bucket of money to fall down so that then they can disperse it. The next one has been a big talk around town, and I know people who live in the Pueblo Nuevo Park area are probably wondering, we went out for this grant and it's over 400,000. The city is responsible for 217,000 of it, plus any in-kind that we can provide. We budgeted this year to put money aside. We'll budget next year to put money aside so that when we actually have to start cutting checks, that we are prepared for this. I did include in your black folders a letter. Sometimes it's just more appropriate to get that formal document that says it's not us. So Texas Parks and Wildlife did issue a formal letter because we've been asking and inquiring, where are we at with this? They did come back. This is the same idea. We were one of a few that were very fortunate to be able to go after federal funds. Unfortunately, the federal government hasn't released the funds down to the state, so the state can move on to the next process of the grant process. So we still are in hold. We're hoping that something will, happen within the next couple of months so that we can move forward with this grant. And much like the lighting project with TxDOT Aviation, we can't start. If we start, it's non-reimbursable. It doesn't go towards the project. And because of our situation, and we want to ensure that we absorb as much of this funding that has been awarded to us, we have to wait until they say, okay, now you can start. So we are waiting for the Pueblo Nuevo Park. We've done everything on our side. It's just the Parks and Wildlife getting the money from their sources and then moving it down to us. Another wonderful opportunity in 2020, the city did apply for a grant through the state for dispatch console. We were denied. We don't get them all. We understand that we won't get them all, but other cities didn't use all of their funding. So all of this money goes back into a pot and then they go down the application list, and we were lucky again. Our name got drawn and we're getting $56,800. Once again, zero cost to the city besides Marcy's time. I won't say zero. Marcy did put some time into this, and so did Daryl, to get a new dispatch console. And so they did all their due diligence. We had a very, very, very 12-hour opportunity, I swear, to get everything presented to them and get it in the system and get the quotes, and so that we can move forward with it. They did an excellent job. And of course, the COG and the state came back and we have 100% chance of getting the money. We list it as pending until we get the actual award letter. We never want to say we have it until that signed letter from the state says, oh, congratulations. The next several are pending and upcoming. The Justice Grant, we're looking at additional funding for 2 mobile security cameras. This would be an estimated $60,600. That one was submitted. The application is in the approval process. As soon as we get the evac, would update the council. The next one is with Adelina. Adelina is doing our solid waste community programs. These are the little programs we put together for extra cleanups, for recycling, like electronic recycling, tire recycling, anything that could benefit and help the community. So Adelina has applied for the solid waste community program. The original amount was a little over 11,000. The COG came back and said, you know what, we know we can get to this level. So we amended our application. The total possible award is 7,367. There would be some staff time and extra fees that the city would take on as in kind, but it will be for a community cleanup program. The Lone Star program for 2022 opened back up, and the application is due next week. We're looking at a little bit more overtime, not a lot, $8,500. A new one that doesn't really have an application. It's one of those, hey, did you know this program existed? It's the Click It or Ticket. This is a program that is offered through TxDOT. We've done several of theirs in the past that are just kind of one of those one-time, two-time deals, and then they'll switch it up and do something else. This one was brought before us with Daryl, and it is on the agenda for tonight. It's a $2,000 award with zero cost to the city. And then the last one, Marcy and I, we have a love-hate relationship. She loves grants and I hate spending money. So FEMA brought out a hazard mitigation grant program. So what it is this is kind of a one-time opportunity. It is a 25% match on behalf of the city. But as she goes through and looks at applications and different grants that are available, she tries really hard to remember what we've discussed in council, what are the priorities, and how can she address them. She does really good. But I don't think she realizes the time frame she puts on herself. So this application is due April 29th. It seems, oh, well, you got a month. This is for the generators. So one of the things that we've talked about, and we did move some money aside, so we may actually be able to cover the 25% match with no problem, because we put the money aside. Council's already approved that. Senate Bill 3 came out requiring that our water utility has to be in compliance with being able to provide a minimum of 20% PSI during emergencies. The city's always been very fortunate. We haven't had to worry about boil notices. We've kept the pressure, but we also know we're limited because we don't have the generators. And this is one of the things we had talked about and why we moved the money aside. Well, she found a grant. She found a grant that specifically addresses these types of concerns and issues. And so we will be going after it. Part of the discussion with the engineers that were hired, and one of the tasks that they have is to ensure how do we be in compliance with Senate Bill 3, the emergency plan, do we have backup generators, what type of generators, how do we go through this whole process and not have TCEQ come back and say we did it wrong. So the engineers have been working with us to make sure what we purchase is adequate. We don't want to go to True Value and get your little house one that you use for those small appliances. We need to ensure that what we purchase will cover the actual well unit. We roughly have, and I want to say 14 wells, not all of them are operational, but we utilize them greatly. And we want to ensure that when we put a generator as a backup, if we lose electricity like we did in 2020, that it's going to work. It's not going to, get started and, well, I can't handle the workload here. So that was really important. You will have this on the agenda moving forward, specifically for approval. Fingers crossed, we're very hopeful that what we've put aside, the fact that we've gone beyond and started working with engineers and we've got a game plan specifically for this, that it will be a smooth application and not a lot of, oh my gosh, how do we fill this out? How do we answer this question? So we're looking forward to that one. Marcy always does kind of a little summary at the very end of all of our grants to kind of give you guys an idea. Based on just what the numbers, and not the ones, of course, that we have questions on, the city would be receiving in grant funding a little over 1.6 million. And the cost to us is a little over 314,000. So that's a huge difference and a huge impact for the city. And then I wanted this update because as I talk about priorities and goals, once we have an understanding and everyone's on the same page, we'll start going out for those grants that will meet those priorities. And this will grow, the number will increase, hopefully not the city side, but we'll have that additional resources coming in to, one, address our priorities, our concerns, and take the city back to where it needs to be. Any questions on the grants?
On the generators, how many generators? Do we have an idea yet?
No.
Have we gotten the generator from the county?
Eddie's been working with Johnny Salgado. Did I say?
Johnny,
No, Valencia, sorry.
Valencia.
I reached out to him and he's gonna have, for right now, we're gonna move that generator into one of the warehouses at the yard to keep it protected because it's always been in-house. If it is not something that can be used as at a well site, because we want to make sure, like I said, we're able to run those wells. We'll have to create a little storage space outside here of the Civic Center so that we can use this building when we lose electricity. We know it will run City Hall and the Civic Center.
Okay.
Thank you for the update. It's so easy to forget. We do them months in advance for us and the public to be reminded of where we are in the process.
And we are, we're utilizing everything that comes to us. And then I think that's the great thing to get out of this. The next item is a little overview, of course, of our revenues. Everything is provided in the council packets and it is available online. So this is just a summary. The general fund as of the end of February was at 51.55% of our total revenue. So we're at a little over 3.2 million. Of course, our property tax collections will now start to decline. Everyone who pays on time has done so. At this point, those who are paying are getting that little extra penalty. So the bulk of our collections on property taxes is done. We did not get any word back on the sales tax, so we're still good. The 400,000 we received last month, no one has claimed that it's any different. Yeah. So I'm not gonna push that one. From the expenditure side, we're at 28%. Actual expenses is a little over 1.8 million. I do, of course, add my little note to this. Most of our expenses will come during the summer. That's when your paving and your bigger projects start to take place. The weather is more approachable, they're out there more, they're fixing things more. This also affects our parks because the parks will be utilized more, and so they're upkeeping all of the water sources out there because we do water them and maintenance of them. For our wastewater and sanitation, revenue is at 34.6%, a little over 2 million. Much like the gas, it's reversed. Their income starts to come in the summer when everyone's enjoying their pools and their green lawns. The expenditures is at 32%, a little over 1.9 million. Currently, they've been working on building their inventory, trying to get their staff trained. So they're taking a different direction with those departments and ensuring that all of the resources and training is available for them. The airport, poor Able. The airport has brought in 54% of their income, which is 358,000, but their expenses is at 59%. So they've spent more than they've brought in. This is typical. We have to buy fuel. We have to keep the airport maintained to FAA guidelines, and that includes making sure that we have everything mowed. Believe it or not, when an FAA does come and inspect, I swear they carry a ruler to make sure your grass, or what we call weeds, aren't above a certain height. And then that's for the airport, especially around the landing areas and the lights. So they're constantly out there trying to keep that updated. They've also taken on some additional training. It has currently all been free. We've been very lucky. But I do foresee some additional expenses when it comes to personnel to ensure that they have all of the needed requirements to do their job. Hotel occupancy fund. They're at 27% of their collections, roughly 244,000. And they're at 39.5% of their expenses, 348,000. This was expected. Last year, council did approve them with their new project, the expansion of additional public restrooms and a pavilion. So most of what their huge expenses are for you construction in that project. We did already recognize and acknowledge that they will be using part of their fund balance. They were one of the best funds that past fiscal year where they went way above in their revenue than anticipated. So we'd already planned that the money from there would go towards this project. The gas utility is at 51% of their revenue, a little over 1.036 million. And their expenses are at 37.55%, or a little over 760,000. We still anticipate some large expenses coming in as we come off of the regulators being replaced and updated, the additional material for fixing some of the, what is it when it, not backlogs, I knew I was gonna forget this term, bottleneck. When it bottlenecks, they're going in and they're correcting those issues so that we've decided it's a 1 year and done. They'll get everything up to date and then we'll be done for another 20 years. But because of the city gates and the changes that had to be made, and council has been aware of the emergency purchases, we do foresee some additional expenses coming in, particularly to those city gates and the regulators. A lot of hands-on training, like I mentioned before. So they're still within their budget. They haven't gone over, but we do monitor it, and much like the airport, we'll monitor it throughout every month. Interest and sinking. Unfortunately, our expenses are no longer zero. The city did make their debt payments. They are due by March 1st. So 92% of the expenses already been covered. This is just the portion of the debt that comes from the general fund, from what we collect for property taxes. I shouldn't say general fund, I'm sorry, from INS for property taxes. This is what is the city's portion. The remaining portion comes out of our water and wastewater. This year, the city has paid off a pumper truck that was purchased, so that is no longer an item that will have to be budgeted. And the sewer department or wastewater department paid off the 2012 EDAP, which was a Texas Water Development Board grant / loan. So that one is completed. So it's always a nice moment of celebration as we knock off that debt. That does mean as we go into budget, we do discuss long-term and how are we going to move forward with plans and affording things and what opportunities do we have. I did mention prior that the engineers did go out for a PIF for our wastewater treatment plant. It's no cost to us. It just gets our name in the hat. Those are big projects that having the additional funding come through an outside source, whether it be a zero interest loan or a grant loan combination, are beneficial to the city. So instead of waiting for the problem to come to us, we're trying to throw everything out there so we can see if there's anything we can apply for. And that is all I have.
I have a couple of questions on this, Megan. Under municipal court expenses, what exactly is contract labor?
So that would be our city judge. The city judge is not an employee.
Okay. And then on, where are we on the West Texas Gas surprise bill from last year of over 200,000? Have we heard back from them on where?
I have not heard anything back. I don't think Rod has either. We have not paid that yet. It's not been processed.
So we haven't heard from it. We haven't issued any kind of payments, and there is no reason for people to think that that is affecting anything at this time.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Our attitude is, if they really want that money paid, they would be more actively seeking it. They got paid a lot of money already from the state of Texas. West Texas Gas got money paid. There was money set aside from that thing a year ago.
And they haven't responded to your questions on the dates and all of that stuff.
So it's, you know, the ball's sort of in their court. So the issue's not dead. It's not over. But we haven't paid, and we're not making any plans to pay until something else happens.
And the city of Marfa also has the same inquiries as we. They received a bill as well, and I did get a phone call from their administrator. I'm kind of like, well, what are you doing? They've actually hired an attorney as well to ask the kind of the same questions we've asked. Is, 9 months later, the dates don't match. Can you give us more input? It was a shock across all of the small towns in this area. What are the questions you got?
That's it. for
Maybe
me.
we got a fire vehicle maintenance.
Yes. So the fire department, it is a volunteer fire department that runs completely on their own. The city provides financial support. We are the primary on it because we provide the retirement as well. We also own all the assets. In 2018, the county and the city came into an interlocal agreement, and the county relinquished all of their assets to the city. So we have a vehicle.
We own all the fire trucks?
Yes,
Really?
and the brush trucks. And the ones that should be auctioned. So yes, we own all of them. There's been a change at the fire department. You'll start seeing more expenses. Yes, you'll see more expenses. Our mechanic can only do so much. There is a certain level of technical support that he has to seek for the larger engines. Those aren't something that you can just pop the hood and replace a couple of spark plugs and call it good. So as we look at each of those engines, and unfortunately the ladder truck is a question, and always has been a question, those costs may go up, but they're actually starting to come in and replace tires and do oil changes, and you hadn't seen those expenses in the past.
What's the 10,000 in the general fund enforcement cleanup?
So when the city took on the abatement for the illegal dumping, we came into an agreement before the new contract with TDS that we had a process put in place where people could file online that, hey, there's this area. A couple of the council members, you guys have reached out and say, hey, can we get this cleaned up? So what we do is we put in a formal process and included TDS because they weren't going to do it for free at the time. And we weren't going to ask them to do it for free, but we needed something in place. So between October, actually a little before October, but October 1st and March 1st, they went in and they did the bulk of our complaints. These were my street, Murphy Street, if anyone's been down there. I swear there was 15 mattresses at one point. Well, they go in and they clean everything up and then charge us per usage, or I'm sorry, cubic yards. It is in the hole because we didn't originally plan for it. One of the things that you'll see coming up in April is budget adjustments and amendments. You'll also notice that there's a $10,000 line item for planning. That was under the prior official. Not quite sure what his thought process was, but since he's no longer here, we'll move that money to abatement.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Any questions?
So
Great
next
report.
month, be prepared. We'll make some changes.
I may be busy, but thanks.
Does that finish your report?
That's it for me.
Okay, very good. Let's go to public hearings. Public hearings to obtain citizen views and comments regarding the second and final reading of ordinance 2022-02-01 and ordinance amending chapter 10 animals, amending article 1 in general, amending article 2 keeping animals, providing the update regulations and regarding the restraints and impoundment of animals. Do we have any public comments? Okay, see none. Let's move to item 2, public hearings to obtain citizens' views and comments regarding application for special use permits for applicant West Texas Italian Delicacies LLC. The applicant is requesting a special use permit for the purpose of obtaining an alcohol license permit from the Texas Alcohol Beverage Commission to sell beer and wine in a newly established deli. The property in question is located at 801 East Holland Avenue. Record property owner is Mesa Holland LLC. Any comments on this? Seeing none, then we'll go ahead and move on to consent agenda then. Minutes, financial reports, department written reports, board appointments, etc. Notice to the public. The following items are of routine administrative nature. The council has been furnished with background and support material on each item and or it has been discussed at a previous meeting. All items will be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a council member, in which event the item or items will immediately be withdrawn for individual consideration in its normal sequence after the items not requiring separate discussion have been acted upon. The remaining items will be adopted by one vote. And City Secretary.
Thank you, Mayor. Tonight's consent agenda has 3 items. Item number 1, approval of March 1st, 2022 regular meeting minutes. Item number 2, approval of excused absences of Councilor Tandy, Councilor Rodriguez, and Councilor Johnson for March 4th, 2022 workshop meeting. And item number 3, approval of a letter of support for the Keep Alpine Beautiful annual report for gold standing.
Okay, I'll accept the motion.
I so moved.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll move to item number 8, discussion items. And Councilman Stokes, Councilperson Stokes.
We put it on here, it's a gas bill department edition. I think there are a few people here that aren't in Ward 1 that have a problem. I received complaint after complaint after complaint. Citizens think their bills are too high. I told them I can't personally fix it. It may not get fixed here, but your voice can be heard. That's about all I could do. I would ask the mayor if some of them could approach.
Yes, does anybody want to approach the podium comments?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brett Bell. I reside at 514 John West Road in Ward 1. Real briefly, just a background, because I'm going to speak about a couple things, and I just want to make sure I'm not standing up here looking like I'm just arguing a moot point. I am a disabled combat veteran with 3 combat tours in Iraq. I served those in the United States Marine Corps. I also served as a law enforcement officer in my community for over 15 years from a prior state. Basically, I'm not speaking for myself, but I am speaking for other citizens of Alpine. I'm not here to blame, accuse, or threaten anyone. I've come here to find solutions and clarifications for issues that are affecting us. That being that our bills for our gas went up too much. I mean, we're talking doubled, sometimes tripled. The thing with this is, when I first checked my bill, of course, I'm going to look at, did we overuse? What was the use? We looked at the temperatures for both the reading and the billing periods, and they're comparable with minimal differences. That's basically just shows that it can't be explained just from usage. We've also noticed we've had multiple gas outages. I'm pretty sure the city and all of you have seen that. we had 2 outages the week of January 17th, and then we had 1 more in the following week. So that's on top of the usage. We were using less because we didn't have it to use. When I checked my bill, it went up 160%. Just for us non-mathematicians, that's more than doubled. Basically, it went from just under $100 to almost $250. I've also noticed that on my bill, it says current charges and total amount due. The current charges is what we're asked to pay. Because I know there are some citizens that don't have gas, so they don't even worry about this. But with the current charges, what we're supposed to pay, to that way we keep our gas, nobody can explain to me what total amount due is. And that total amount due is double what I'm told to pay. I don't know what that cost is, what that $400 and something is. Then this is where some of the concerns start coming into play when you're looking at why your bill has gone up so much. There's 2 dates that are put on those bills. There's a reading date and a billing date. For our last bill, we're looking at a reading date of January 6th to February 10th. The billing dates are January 31st to February 28th. Yeah, that is right. Why? Because when I pay a bill and I have to pay a service, usually the dates are the same. So that's 18 days of difference that you're saying you're billing me for, but nobody's checked anything on the meter. That's a little suspect. Now, whenever somebody has questions about something, where do you go? You go straight to the source. I went to the gas company. When asked these basic questions that I've just brought up here, I asked the gas company, and I got a couple responses, and other citizens got just about the same responses to their questions. One of those was, quote, there was a freeze in February. We had 1 freeze. We had a lot of freezes last year. And like I said, it doesn't coincide. The other thing is we read the meters so we know it's accurate. I bring back those reading dates and billing dates. There is a question there. Are they accurate? Now, one resident told me when we were, of course, asking around with our fellow citizens, if they've had a double, triple, anything like that, what they've seen. One resident told me that he called the gas company and they just happened to leak it out and said, well, you were billed for a month and a half. Your next bill should probably be only for 2 weeks. That doesn't jive very well at all, not with any type of service industry. If it's true, you're billed for a month and a half when you only pay a monthly bill. Now, this is why I said I'm not here to attack, accuse, or anything like that. But I am saying this from my observations and the observations of other citizens in Alpine. There appears to be a lack of accountability or something just isn't right. With what I've already discussed so far, there is a little bit of a question mark there where I'm pretty sure any reasonable human being can go, yeah, that just ain't right. We need to look into it. And as a citizen, that's all I'm asking you to do. I'm asking you to look into it. Because when these things double and triple, we have budgets. We all have budgets in our house. So if I'm budgeting for something and saying, well, it won't go up this far, what am I going to do when all of a sudden the gas company is allowed to go, oh, by the way, not saying anybody's doing it, but let's say this, what we were just talking about, the budget. When they say, man, we got a $200,000 bill to pay. Let's see, how many citizens do we have? Divide it by that. And all of a sudden I get a $15,000 bill. That's just what I'm trying to keep from hitting my table. Now, some of these things I'm only asking these questions as a type of solution, or maybe a note for a later discussion for y'all to have. For meter reading. Is there any type of photos or any type of accountability for those, meaning when I looked at my meter, I had to wipe it off. Like I had to take my hand across it just to read it. But yet they're telling me that they read the meter. And of course, this is a water meter, but I'll just tell you this past weekend, I had to work on my water. I had to cut my water off so I could work on something. I had to dig out my water meter 2 feet just to get to it. But I'm not going to argue about the water because they, if they start billing me more than I should, then we're going to have a problem. That means they weren't reading it because it was buried and it wasn't from rain. Now for the rate changes, we all understand the rates are going to change. They're going to fluctuate. Not trying to say we need to be like everybody else in this world, because I am from Georgia, but it is pretty good just to have some type of accountability of, hey, your rates are raising or they're lowering. Can we post that on the website? Can that be posted somewhere so we know, so that I don't have to, go to the hospital, get checked for anxiety or having a heart attack before I open up my gas bill. Now, this is another thing. After the outage, one of the employees came to my house. I asked what's with the outage, trying to figure it out. He says, well, we had a valve break, and I understand y'all were talking about that. Y'all replaced that. The thing is, it's looking to most citizens that a month after we have that outage, our bills go up. They double, they triple. It doesn't matter how anyone wants to spin it. We're going to see it that way. It's like, hey, could they be charging us for that? We want those answers. And we think about it this way. If something breaks on my property, I've got to pay for it. Say my gas line breaks under my house. I have to pay out of my pocket to fix that. That is not the city's, and that is not the citizens' problem to pay for it. That is mine. If it breaks in the city and it's on city property, that's not our problem. And that's why we shouldn't be changing rates just to make us pay for it, if that's the case. Now, of course, we've come to you because you're our elected officials. That's your jobs. It's what we trust you, and we elected you to do that. So where did we go first before coming to you? We went to who was supposed to regulate this stuff. And that's the railroad. Somebody told us the Railroad Commission. Well, we contacted the Railroad Commission and they said, it's not our jurisdiction. You have to call your city. So that's why we're here. The only thing that leaves us is that we have to contact the Texas Attorney General's office. Honestly, we all live in Alpine. Texas Attorney General ain't going to care anything about us. So that's why we're coming to you. We want y'all to care about us because we care about you. And when our pockets start getting drained for what we see no reason for, we'd like some answers, and I'd appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Okay, I understand your frustration. Could we have a copy of your notes there?
Yeah,
So we can research it and get back with you with an answer.
Yes, I can do that for you.
Yes.
May I read something?
As soon as he's through.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
First off, let me say God bless you and thank you so much for your service.
Thank you very much.
I think most of you know me. My name is Guy Fielder. I'm new to Alpine. My gas bill last month was $340. But I have something here that I'd like to read that I think will help explain that to everyone. Okay, this article came out on February the 15th. Texans will see their gas bills increase after the Texas Railroad Commission approved a financing order Tuesday that allows natural gas companies to charge their customers in order to recover $3.4 billion in losses from Winter Storm Uri. Now, that's the polar vortex that we all experienced in February of 2021. Okay. The demand across the nation went up. The price of gas went up. The Texas governor asked the gas companies to continue to supply gas because a lot of us lost electricity. Gas was our only source of heat. This was not the city council that did this. This was the Texas Railroad Commission, and I'm surprised that, well, I guess I'm not surprised. You're dealing with a state agency. The easiest answer is to point a finger. Hopefully it wasn't the middle one, but it could have been.
Could have been.
So when Uri hit in February 2021, prices for limited natural gas soared. States' electric grids failed, leaving millions of Texans without heat or water in sub-freezing temperatures. Providers continued to purchase natural gas at substantially higher rates in order to service their customers. Now the bill has arrived and we have to pay. You mentioned we got hit with $280,000 in overages. That's because of this winter vortex. Marfa got over 200,000. Imagine what Austin and Fort Worth and Houston and Dallas got. According to this article, the total is $3.4 billion. And the utilities are not going to pay it, and the Railroad Commission has authorized them to raise our rates. Now, what'll happen is that we will pay somewhat more, but we won't pay the whole bill, because like you said, if, what is it, 28 million Americans? If we all had to come up to pay our share of $3.4 billion, we would all face a huge bill. This doesn't say how long this increase will last, but it does say that it has been approved by our state government. And I know that you gentlemen and ladies have had nothing to do with that. And I would think this comes under the category of a force majeure, an act of God or nature. Sometimes they both seem like the same. But again, I wish that there was an easy answer. I wish there was a good answer, but the bills come due. And I personally would rather pay more every month than have to pay it in a lump sum. And I'm Guy Fielder. I live at, let me think about it, 709 East Sul Ross. If you drive by, it's the house with all the dirt piled up in front because we're trying to re-landscape. But this, I read, I found it. It says the state can't address the cost itself. Natural gas utility customers have access to natural gas during the storm because likely targets of the charges should local distribution companies pass the high cost through to conventional recovery. This also says that natural gas is not regulated. So what they've done is they've approved a bond that allows them to raise their rates to cover the bond. Electricity is regulated, so they control those rates. And again, I'm happy to share this link with anyone that would like to read this. It's a fairly long article, but again, I don't know that this answers all your questions, but I hope it answers some of them.
I brought in more questions when I read it.
Okay, you read it as well.
There's federal laws that are in place also.
Well, don't count on them.
I know, but still, it's
All right.
something the city can use.
And again,
to say, "I'm not paying the bill."
Yes, it is. And again, I it's like the gasoline's gone up. I'd hate to have to pay it all in a lump sum. So pay it in a little bit at a time. So anyway, thank you very much for hearing me out. And, God bless each of you. And thank you so much for dealing with the daily ration of food that comes your way, because I know you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman.
Longer than 3 minutes.
And that's on a different subject.
Bless you too, Karen.
Okay. Yes, sir. Please address. Yes, sir.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. My name is Clay Braden. I'm the Chief Financial Officer at Alpine ISD. Don't mind if I pass out some sheets to you.
Last name, I'm sorry, sir.
Braden, Clay Braden.
You're the interim.
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm also here to voice the ISD's concern on our most recent gas bill. And this is a breakdown of our most previous bill and the prior bill. So you can see all of our different accounts that we have. And on usage, it says December 7th, that is 2021 to January 5th of 2022. You can see our usage, vertically aligned for each location. And then we have our usage for January 5th through February 9th. Now, at the column to the right, that is our bill for each location for the bill from December 7th through January 5th. And then the column to the next to the right is our bill, our most previous bill. That bill totaled $20,160.93. Our previous bill was $5,842.49. So when we compare our bill from this past billing cycle to our previous bill for the same cycle for the past 4 years, we are over by $11,577.69. This is y'all's money. That is words of.
Is that just 1 year?
No, that is just this past month.
You're over $11,000 for 1 month?
$11,577.69 above average for this past month compared to the past 5 years. Now, in the previous cycle from December 7th to January 5th, we were substantially under average. And I was trying to find answers. Why might this be? Was it cold? I pulled data from National Weather Service. Average max temperature for month of January 2022, 57.48 degrees. Average minimum temperature was 27.71. Our average is 56.8 on the high and 37.4 on the low. So an average January. No substantial freezes, catastrophic, Winter Storm Uri, nothing to really explain that increase. And yes, we did fire up 2 new units at the gymnasium at the middle school and elementary that do consume quite amounts of gas, but not $11,000. And you 2 gentlemen before me pretty much said it all. So there's nothing for me to say besides this is the next, gotta be an explanation for it. We've got budgets as well. And if my utility budget starts getting blown to pieces, that affects our children's budgets. Can't send them to events, and it just trickles down. It's just basic economics. So thank you for your time, and hopefully we can find a solution. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anybody else?
I invited Randy. Randy's going to speak for me. Now, I can say a whole lot. I'm there with y'all. My bill doubled. Do I have a big home like y'all know? I can't, and I can't answer these questions. I don't know that Randy, who is our gas utilities director, can answer these questions because I think it's a perfect storm that has gone against all of us. And I don't think anybody's putting this in their pocket. We're not making any money. I'll assure you, if y'all start seeing me drive a brand new Jaguar, you'll know I got a little payoff on this. And it's just not happening. This council, these working people now are not doing anything illegal to go after your gas money. I will assure you of that. And if I thought they were, I would have had Megan on the phone already and we'd all be in a private meeting because it's not right. I have to pay a bill too. I put 4 kids through these schools. I understand what y'all are saying about a budget more than anybody. We make $100 a month up here to do this. So, my gas bill got paid out of my $100. So it wasn't a whole lot. Randy, do you have anything you can add?
Mine doubled up too. I have gas too, but
Randy, you want to
Randy,
get to
get
the
up
podium,
here.
please?
Get up here, front and center. Randy knew he was gonna do this for me.
Randy, can I ask you a few questions before you get
sure.
started?
Let him introduce himself.
Okay,
please.
Randy Guzman, gas utility director.
Okay.
Just before we start, can you confirm, or can you tell me that our gas prices have not increased from 13.07 per MCF?
Say that again.
That our gas prices have not increased from 13.7. Okay.
They have
So
not.
there has not been an increase in what we are charging.
Last year,
The community.
the rate was 12.12. This year it's 13.07. The billing question that everyone received this month is for January billing. We read February. For January, it did have 35 to 36 days because of our emergencies when we lost the regulators and we started losing pressure twice for less than 2 hours. It wasn't for a long period of time because we were manually pressuring the lines. So that bill is going to be a little bigger because of the extra days. We normally try to read the first week of each month so that we can keep that 30-day billing cycle. But because we did have that 36-day billing cycle for this month in question, when we did get back on track for this next upcoming billing is going to be for less than 30 days. So your bill will be smaller, but it's not because that one month we decided to up prices or anything. Everything is at the 1307 and it is for extra days. So if y'all need any account histories pulled out on y'all's behalf for your accounts, y'all can come to this main office and they'll gladly print them out for you. I have one here as an example.
It's in the packets, council.
Yeah, and it is in your packet.
It's in the black folder that was from the desk.
That for this individual, for this current billing, which was the amount of a little over $200, for the year before, they used 18 MCS, okay? The year before, they used 17.8. So you're falling right into the same usage as of the year prior. So the only difference was that last year it was 1212 and this year it's 1307, plus the extra 5 to 6 days when we did the meter reading because we started later. So, I mean, other than lowering your thermostats, trying to get a little, less comfortable, because I have mine at 72 to 74, and that's why mine doubled up too. I mean, I pay the same rate that y'all do, so. But like I said, here's kind of an example of what y'all can request. From the time that you moved in till current date, it'll give you all your usages and how much you pay. As far as the school, we questioned it too. We contacted the people that are doing the work for y'all. We have constantly asked for their BTUs because the high school alone has more appliances, furnaces that we're not even aware of. And I can tell you right now that our meter is too small for everything that y'all had at the high school. So I'm still waiting from the maintenance. I can't tell you his name right now. I don't remember it, but we've been waiting and requesting that so that we can try to get to the bottom of it. But y'all do have some pretty big units. They're not small. I can tell you for sure that they're not small because we were asked to send them to you in pounds, not ounces. So that means that those units are blowing and going. So it's beyond our control what y'all decide to install at the high school, at the other schools. So, I mean, the usage is the usage. The meters don't lie. We can't change the numbers on the meters. So, I mean, other than that, if there's any billing issues, I don't directly deal with the billing. It's over here at this office. I'm at the office at 203. We're more field operations and trying to keep everything going. So, I mean, I know I've had lots of calls. I've tried to explain over the phone, and I do try to pass it back over here because, like I said, I don't deal with billing. I pay the same bill y'all do.
Well, can you explain why the meter read dates are 18 days outside of our bill?
Well, like I said, last month.
They're always like that.
No, they're not always that way. No, man. I mean, you can, like I said, if you have any questions, you're more than welcome to come over here to this office and ask for your account history, and it'll give you your dates. Your bill itself.
Randy, I think I can explain it better.
Okay.
The bill date is the date the bills are ran, not your bill date for the reads.
But it's
Right.
it's not the like due on March 15th. It says current billing cycle. And it says from.
Do you get your bill online?
I can see it online.
Is that where you don't get it by paper, do you? You just get it online?
I get it online.
So we do have issues with the online billing. And then I wanted to address the 400 total due 400 and it doesn't match. We've in the past 5 years, this year is the first time someone on the outside contacted me to tell me that the online bills were messed up. So the citizen called and she's kept on top of us. We have what is called Assist. It was bought out by Central Scare, it's our software. We've told them that there is an issue specifically with the online billing. It doesn't happen on the paper bills, but when you actually go onto the online stuff, what it's showing, it's off for some reason. Like the numbers don't add up, they don't
Where was
match.
this explained? Or is we just getting it now?
You're just getting it now because I've only had one person even question it. I didn't know it was across the board.
Well, I mean, if you're having a problem with it, and you look into it and go, oh, apparently there's a problem with online billing. Is there something that can notate so then that way we don't bother them with it?
Definitely, we can post up online, but I don't have a solution to it right now. Our software is working
I'm not
on
saying
it.
a solution to the online thing, it's just the fact that if you notify somebody that, hey, something might be off with your online, but we're gonna send you a paper one now.
As soon as
because
that
I'm gonna-
person notified us, that was when we started to look into it. No one had really notified us. No one had said anything.
Well, the paper ones also show the same dates as the online billing.
So the bill date, the bill from and bill to aren't the meter read dates.
I know, that's why I'm asking, why are they so off? If you're charging me, if you're billing me for a certain time period, but you're reading them 18 days, before my billing cycle is even over, why are they so off?
So this is something we need to look into to see if we can't get it to change to say
Sandy, for the record, will you stand up
dates.
and give your name? If you
Yes.
want to go on record, give your name.
Yeah.
My name's
Randy,
Danielle
you
Bell.
can sit down.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Randy.
Okay.
I just
And
want you
then,
to be
ma'am, if
on
you'd like to
record
get to
that
the
way.
podium,
Good job, ladies.
Sorry, my name is Danielle Bell.
Have a
And,
name? I thought it was just Dan. Here, I'll fix that.
but, so I've noticed in several bills that I have viewed of other people that have shared with me, the billing cycle that is listed on the bill is, I believe it's, what was it, January
January
31st to February 28th.
So those are when the bills are actually the date they're ran, not your meter reads.
So but it says you're billing me essentially for that time period, but
No.
you're reading the meters different?
No, we're not. That's just when the bills are issued. It's not have anything to do with your actual reads. So I have a note here to contact Assist to see if we can change it to actual read dates.
Okay. That would clarify it much more for those of us that are reading our bills, because that doesn't make sense. You're just throwing dates out at us.
It's the date the bill is printed.
Okay.
So some of them will have January to March, because if say Saturday is the 28th of February, we obviously don't come in on a Saturday, then we would run it, the Monday, unless we try to run it early. So there's just when the bills are printed. It has nothing to do with your reads. So like I said, I've already made a note to contact our company and see if we can't change the bill from bill to the read dates.
That would make much more sense. Yes. Thank you very much.
okay, thank you, Ms. Bell. Any more comments?
Well, I hope some of this helped. I put it on as a discussion information because I know I used to try to wonder stuff and you couldn't get in here. And I want y'all to know that you can come in, y'all can call me. If you're in Ward 1, if you're in Ward 5, call me. I maybe can't fix it, but we can have this discussion and try to get some of it settled.
Thank you, Judy.
You're welcome.
Yes, sir.
Just to address-
Yes, sir.
Sir, just to address your Clay Braden again, statement about how we do have some large units at the high school. We have a location that has not had any units installed in the last 3 years, doubled by 16 times the amount from the previous month. So
Is this the elementary or?
that is the bus barn. 16 times the previous amount.
Speaking to the maintenance man, he came and talked to us, and he said that because of your high ceilings and the doors being open, that the heaters were blowing and going, they figured that out, and they were gonna stop that. So.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, you have big ceilings and the doors, bay doors where y'all park the buses. That's what was going on there.
But it's been the same director for 3 years now.
If it's been working the same way for 3 years, and then it goes to that in 1 year, there is something suspect. We're just asking someone to look into it. Sir, I understand your to look into it, because I'm sorry, if my household used, in round numbers, 17 last year, and then went up to 18 this year, same time frame, same everything else, except the price of gas went up by this much. That does not equate over $140 more in that month. I understand what the other gentlemen have said, but this is just us. And I understand I'm arguing $140. Well, what happens 2 months from now when it turns into 200?
It's actually,
250.
it's actually $60.
Okay.
Megan, can we follow
We're
up on
just
that?
asking those questions
Thank you.
because it does not make sense from a mathematical purpose.
Okay, Megan's gonna be addressing those issues and we'll get back with y'all on that,
Thank
okay? Okay, anything else? Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move on. We're gonna move on to action items to be accompanied by a brief statement of facts, including where funds are coming from, if applicable. Action items are limited to 10 per meeting. And I'm gonna ask for council's indulgence if I can move item number 7 to item number 1 and 1 to 7.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? None, all those in favor? Okay, we're moving item number 7 to number 1. Okay,
I'd like to move to approve Emergent Air as our emergency medical service provider for the city of Alpine on the recommendation of the task force.
okay,
Second that motion.
okay. Is there any discussion? No discussion. I think we discussed it plenty at 2 workshops. So I'll call for the question then. All those in favor? raise-
Do we know
Huh?
what the county?
County did the same thing.
Same thing.
County
okay.
chose Emergent Air earlier this evening.
So we're on the same page. Okay. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Before we do, did we not receive an email of a gentleman that wanted something read into the record before we took a vote?
He was discussing the contract, I believe. We haven't gotten to the contract yet. We're just approving who's gonna provide the service. Okay,
What's your point of order? We've already.
yeah,
approved
so,
the
so
motion to
we've
accept
already
the
approved the
motion.
motion, so we're gonna go ahead and move on. All those in favor?
We've already voted.
Okay, so emergent's gonna be an emergency. And so we're alongside with the county. On the EMS portion, it's a county and city joint venture. Okay, so it'll be just one contract between the two.
And the contract will have provisions in it that address the city's needs, and it'll also have provisions in it that address the county's needs.
Okay,
The county also is gonna leave the task force in place to help work through some of the technical details of the contract.
It'll
okay,
end
so,
up with being one final contract to be approved by each entity.
right,
Thanks, Greg.
okay,
If you
thank
don't
you.
mind, can we get that vote again, please?
Did you vote for it or not? Abstain?
Did you vote for, against?
For what was, for the.
For
emergency?
emergency,
Yes, I voted
For?
for.
for
Okay, unanimous.
unanimous,
Thank
yeah. Okay, let's go to item 2. Or 1 rather, I'm sorry.
Approve the second and final reading of ordinance 2022-02-01. An ordinance amending chapter 10 animals, amending article 1 in general, amending article 2, keeping animals, providing for updated regulations regarding the restraint and impoundment of animals.
Okay, I'll accept the motion.
I motion we approve the second and final reading of ordinance 2022 and -02-01.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion made in second, discussion.
this was the item that was tabled for the conflict of dates and locations.
Okay, no discussion. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, let's go to item 2 then.
Approve the first reading of ordinance 2022-03-01, an ordinance amending chapter 90 taxation, article 4, coin operated establishments to the Alpine Code of Ordinances, providing a maximum number of machines per establishment, providing clarification regarding the initial special use permit fee.
I have some comments on that. I'll get to it.
All right, accept the motion.
I make a motion, we approve the first reading of ordinance 2022-03-01.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, motion's made and second. Discussion.
Mayor, on the proposed ordinance, if you all look at where it talks about the license required, and then page 5 of 8, the annual license and permit fee. Based on some cases from Dallas area and some other Texas cases, we can't charge that high of a license fee. License fee has to be calculated to do no more than generally try to recover the cost of inspections and things of that nature. So I would say that perhaps $1,000 a year license fee would probably be about the maximum that would be defensible. Instead of 3,000, which I think is too much. And then the permit fee has the same application to it, so the
I'm
section.
sorry, Rod, where are you? So I can follow. I'm lost.
It's on 9.
I'm on exhibit A.
Yeah, what page though?
Well, page 3 of 8, it has the red line stuff on it.
Mhm.
Page 3 of 8 is right here.
Okay.
And then the next page, 5 of 8 is the one I was looking, page 4 of 8, page 5 of 8. So the top of page 5 of 8, where it says the annual license and permit fee shall be as follows: $3,000 license fee per year. My recommendation is that that be changed to $1,000, because I don't think we could get away with a $3,000 permit fee under Texas law. And the permit form, bottom section 90-105, the applications in the permit form. I think that the $100 would be more defensible on that, since we're also be charging them $1,000 license fee. So those are my recommendations to amend the proposed new coin operated machine establishment ordinance to reflect my research into Texas law regarding.
Yes, I did.
Okay. Okay, any more discussion? Chief?
I just had a question in reference to how many, what was the maximum number you said?
Right now, there's not a maximum, right?
It's unlimited.
Unlimited, and the new proposed ordinance has a maximum of 10 machines. It does raise an issue called the ex post facto law, when you try to make a law after the fact against somebody that already has something in operation. So we're gonna have to sort of deal with that on a case-by-case basis on existing people as opposed to new people. So department on how to regulate some of the existing ones.
So you're recommending that the annual fee be $1,000 and the permit fee be $100?
That's my recommendation based on my
State
research
law.
into Texas law.
Okay.
That says you can't. Some other places that charge these kind of fees, and the courts have knocked them out.
Do we have them right now that have more than 10 machines?
I'm sorry?
Do we have them right now that have
Yeah,
more than
got the
10?
one
Yes,
with
ma'am.
Murphy.
Yes, ma'am.
We started out at 4 on the resolution, and then we changed it to unlimited. And now we're anticipating changing it back to 10. We were told that 4, they couldn't make a go of it with 4
machines. And we felt that was too limiting.
I have a question as to why we have P and Z doing this. I mean, this, to me, doesn't seem to fall under, it's not a zoning issue. So why do we have planning and zoning dealing with this?
The first when this ordinance was implemented, it was written that it would go through planning and zoning, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, I understand that, but it doesn't seem to fall under the guidelines of what planning and zoning board or commission should be doing. Planning and zoning should be just that,
So I think
rezoning issues.
This does go back to the whole reason we need to workshop the boards and commissions ordinances, because planning and zoning specifically deal with special use permits. And since this is a special use permit, it's entertained by them first and then council. But I mean, we're definitely able to workshop that going forward in the planning and zoning ordinances. It's just currently the way everything's written.
Yeah, on some issues, but I think that limiting should be something that maybe building services does. If it's an issue for fire safety or something of that nature.
So Ms. Morse is part of those discussions, and David Hill is the one who was our building official who did put this together initially. So it did start in that department, and it was taken to planning and zoning.
Yeah, and I know we've been doing this for a while, but I just have a question that why is it on that, in that one? And until we figure out whether planning and zoning should really be doing this, should we be making changes of this magnitude?
Council can make the changes.
Planning
You
and
don't have.
zoning is only making recommendations.
Right, and I just feel that,
Well, it was set up to go through planning and zoning as a special permit. The way it was set up to be reviewed.
is planning and zoning supposed to be handling special permits? When
That's
you-
a change that the GO is recommending when we
So
change.
that's what I mean.
I think
So-
we need to take a hard look at all those.
So we're making changes on something that is not really set up the right way to begin with. So should we not be making our changes first before we try to implement changes from a board that should not be handling that kind of a change? See what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
But
However,
for-
I think we can approve or disapprove this resolution with Rod's recommended
Yeah,
changes.
because we have to change everything on it now. And
Or we can
this
defeat it and leave what we have in effect.
is the first reading on it.
Y'all can make changes on the second reading.
Right, I understand that. I guess what I'm saying is that what I'm wanting to do is just leave things the way they are right now until we handle the changes that need to be done with the boards and commissions and let the right board and commission that needs to be handling this decision to do it.
Definitely not.
That is what I would like
So
to see.
what you're trying to say is you want to table the motion until it gets to the proper.
You want to postpone it.
Yes, but that's just me, I just don't know what it.
I mean, you could postpone it, tabling, you have to bring it up.
At the next meeting.
I was just giving my opinion on the matter.
And that's a good opinion,
Yeah.
for sure.
I think
So-
everyone's agreeing, and until we work out the kinks, this can be postponed.
So you can make an amendment to the motion
Okay.
to postpone it.
I'm making an amendment to the motion that we postpone it.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made in second, discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor of the amended motion, raise your right hand. Okay, going back to the original motion, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Oppose? Okay, motion carries. The motion fails. Okay. Now, let's go to item number 4.
Approve an application for special use permit for applicant West Texas Italian Delicacies LLC. The applicant is requesting a special use permit for the purpose of obtaining an alcohol license permit from the Texas Alcoholic Beverage Commission to sell beer and wine in a newly established deli. The property in question is located at 801 East Holland Avenue. Record property owner Mesa Holland LLC. The Planning and Zoning Commission has recommended approval of the permit.
Okay, entertain a motion.
I move.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? None? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, like sign, motion carries unanimously. Let's go to item number 4. Mr. Calderon.
Approve. You got it? Approve order 2022-03-01, an order approving the joint election agreement with Alpine Independent School District for May 7th, 2022 general election.
Okay, is there a motion? Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, motion made in second, discussion. None, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion unanimous.
Approve resolution 2022-03-05, a resolution reestablishing the added fee for sanitation services.
Okay, a motion,
I move.
I need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made in second, discussion.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
We're gonna keep, these are the same sanitation rates that we had last year, is that correct?
The city added portion is the same, no change.
Okay,
And I would just like to clarify, can you clarify who sets the rates for the landfill?
The city set the rates with the landfill in connection with the TDS contract. So it was part of the contract.
Okay, but the city does not actually run the landfill. It is leased through TDS.
TDS manages the landfill, and I guess they can take it or not take it, kind of. No shirt, no shoes, no service is what I wanted to say.
But we do get a percentage.
Yes, and that did change, and that will be another discussion of.
That percentage is higher.
It is, our collection part is higher, and I'd like to have that discussion down the road for that one.
We
okay.
went from 16 to 25. didn't
Mhm. Any more discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, unanimous, it carries. Item 6,
Approve resolution 2022-03-06, a resolution authorizing the city to participate in the Texas Department of Transportation Click It or Ticket program, providing overtime funds in fiscal year 2022.
okay, take a motion.
I make-
move. Oh, quick.
I make a motion, we approve resolution 2022-03-06.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
Don't need to bring?
What's that?
It's all good?
It's all good.
He was ready to give you his
I
speech.
know.
I'm sorry, man, took your thunder away.
Okay, Daryl, you can come back.
You want to say something, you're more than welcome.
He's time to tell us about it.
Right?
Okay, I'll give
I'll make it quick.
4 minutes or less. Go.
Real quick, so this provides $2,000 for officers to work overtime during special holidays. The first one that's come up is for Memorial Weekend, then we'll have Labor Day, and there are other events that come along, but this just basically gives our blessing to TxDOT to work these overtime programs, and we'll be advertising, and I hope to do a program with the council to make sure that y'all will be my first ones to click it or ticket, right?
As long as we don't get ticketed. Okay, thank you, sir.
Denied.
All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Let's go to item number 8.
Approve the submitted proposal from J. Carousel General Construction for paving projects.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
I move that we approve the submitted proposal from J. Son General Construction for paving projects.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
These figures are out of line with our.
Go, Megan.
So my recommendation, unfortunately, is not to accept this bid. It is way outside of our budget for both entities, the general fund and the airport. We did only receive one bid. I would like after tonight to reopen it. I've been given some additional contractors information as well. So.
Okay,
I agree. I think that not only is it over our budget, but the amount that they're charging is outrageous.
Amen.
They would be coming from another city
That's still kind of high.
at $4.50 a gallon.
Tough luck.
Mhm. Any more discussion? All those in favor of approving it, raise your right hand. All those against it, raise your right hand. Okay, it's unanimous, it's not approved. Okay, city council member comments. So we'll start with Councilperson
Well,
Stokes.
Alexis is gone, but I worked with her for many years, being at the sheriff's office. She was my little liaison, and she got this beautiful presentation. It was beautiful. Yes, she did. And she understands it, you know. I understood a lot of it, and part of it I know y'all didn't understand, but she understands everything she put up there, and we need that. That is, I needed in all these city employees. You got a good one there. I appreciate everybody coming about their gas bill. I can't, this was needed though. This is good. This is a good thing that y'all can get a hold of me on a Facebook Messenger and I can say, let me get it on the agenda. I can't fix it, but we can talk about it. That's what's needed in Alpine. That is why I ran for election. That's it.
Okay, thanks, ma'am. Ms. Rodriguez.
Just also on the gas issues, I understand your frustration, but like Randy and all of us have said, we're all in the same boat. Just because we're up here doesn't mean that our gas bill is any less. It is a hard pill to swallow. And I too am finding it a little hard to try to understand. So I am going to try to take the time to go in and try to understand it, or, you know, myself before we can come back out and do it. It won't be forgotten. Megan will be following up on this. I'm hoping that we can come to some kind of solution or find answers as to what is happening. But we do appreciate the great turnout, and we will try to work on it. Randy, thank you for coming over and giving us some input on that.
Yes, sir.
On this paving project, Jared didn't bid on it, or no proposal or anything? No? And that was for the taxiway, the airport, and the Country Club Estates?
Yes.
I'd just like to mimic what Councilor Stokes and Rodriguez said about the gas. I know that Megan and Randy will all figure out what's going on and what the solutions are, if there are any. And I want to compliment the board on the council on following the recommendations of the task force for hiring or appointing Emergent as our EMS company. It was a major decision for us to make, for sure.
Yes, it was.
And I know we put in a lot of time and read a lot of packets of information from all of them. And I feel we made the right decision. You did read them because you gave me the highlighted one.
I had more talking points, okay?
Sorry, Megan.
That's it.
Want to thank everybody that attended this evening. And yes, on the gas issue, we'll follow up on that. We'll get back to the public as to what happened. Okay, and you know, a lot of times, you know, upstairs they make decisions for us little guys down here. And sometimes, you know, it's hard for us to fight them, but we will look into it. And I think another way that you guys can do is contact your local elected officials at the state level. Send them letters and let them know what is happening, you know, with this thing. I don't think it's right. I think it's called price gouging.
Yes.
Okay. So it's up to you all whether you want to contact your elected officials, okay? But I want to thank you, Mr. Filler. Thank you very much for your explanation also on that. We really appreciate it. And yes, on our EMS situation, we had several workshops on it, and it was a hard decision. They were all good. They all had good points, and they all seemed to have provided what the city was looking for, but just one stood out among the three. And I think the council made a great choice in that one company, and which will better serve us as our community. So moving forward, we'll have an EMS in pretty soon. As soon as the contracts are figured out and signed, and I'm not gonna say we're gonna be safe again, because we are safe still, thanks to Greg Hennington and the South EMTs. But we'll continue to provide great service for our citizens. Thank you all very much. Y'all have a good evening.
I'd make a motion, we recess into executive session at 7:20.
Okay, is there a second?
Second that.
Yeah, as soon as we recess. Give me a second. Okay, just a second. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So-
Imagine we go in whatever.
Okay, I needed a second. You
Seconded.
seconded. All those
Seconded.
in favor? Okay, what time is it? 7:20, take a 10-minute recess break. Okay, I'll take it.
I don't want to stop Judy. These are just